What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from the Sixpoint Brewery, and they're out of Brooklyn, New York, and this is their Resin. So they're calling this one a Double IPA that comes in at 9.1% alcohol by volume, 103 IBUs at the time of review. This can is just under 5 weeks old. So it's been a while since I reviewed a beer from Sixpoint. It's been quite a while since I've had this beer specifically, and I was lucky to find a relatively fresh can of this because, a little bit of story time real quick. When I started drinking craft beer back in late 2009, early 2010, well, I always say late 09, early 10 is because I think I started technically dabbling in craft beer in like December of 2009. So I really started getting heavily into it, say, in 2010. But back in like 2013, 14, 15, I drank a lot of Sixpoint. A lot of the beer would show up, it would be fresh. They had a lot of different varieties, and I really enjoyed them. I really did enjoy Resin when I started getting into hop forward beers back in like the mid 2010s. But in the later years, like from about 17 onwards, we didn't get as much from them, and it was tough to find fresh beer from Sixpoint. So the fact that I found a can of this just under 5 weeks old is really awesome, because typically when you see a Resin, it's like 3+ months old. It just is. So I'm really happy about that. Now they have a little spiel here on the side. It says, "Remember our first sip of hoppy beer? Do you?" I totally do. It says, "Nearly spit it out." Yep. Now we fantasize about this stuff, thinking about those hop cones bursting with juice, ripe as all hell. Makes you look forward to that first Resin all day long. I'm gonna need you to settle down, Sixpoint, just a little bit, just get under control, okay? But no, yeah, I remember, what was the first hop forward beer I had? I think it might have been, honestly, Trogue's Nugget Nectar. I remember having that, and it'd be saying Imperial Amber Ale, and it wasn't Imperial Amber Ale. It was not. It still isn't to this day. It's definitely hop forward. Anyway, let's crack this one open, get into the Dogfish Head IPA glass here. I fucking hate this glass, which is why I never really use it. It's really hard to use, really hard to clean, especially down here. Plus, I feel like when I'm handling it, I'm washing it, I'm gonna break the fucking thing. It's, crystal, so it's like real thin. But I want to use it today. Why? It's been a while. I don't know. We're gonna use it. So this might be hashtag Dirty Glass Mafia. Typically at the bottom of this, but I don't know. I tried to wash it as best as I can. And hopefully I gave it my all, and it was successful, because fuck me if it's not. Anyway, so yeah, that does it. Yeah, no Dirty Glass Mafia. I did an immaculate job. Some stuff over here. I'll wipe my hands. Immaculate job of washing this. Anyway, yeah, that has an old school IPA color. There is a lot of carbonation. That has the etching in the bottom that promotes the carbonation, but it is I don't know if you'll see it on camera, but man, it is like a volcano just fucking flowing through there. So yeah, it has this like deeper like orange color down here, more of like a yellow. 2 fingers of a really fluffy soap sudsy looking head, somewhat creamy, somewhat, there's some decent clarity at the bottom through here, not as much, but it's not like super murky and turbid. It's an old school beer, so it has the clarity to some degree. Let's get a nose. The color of the head too is like off-white into like almost a very light tan. Yeah, so they say they use a lot of different hops in this one, but 2 of them that they actually mention are Chinook and Centennial. And I just got done a couple days ago reviewing the Stone 26th Anniversary Imperial IPA, which features Centennial, like a souped up version of the Stone IPA. And in that review, I mean, I like that beer. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I was like somewhat boring to some extent. So we're going to see how I think about this one with Chinook and Centennial, 2 old school hops. Yeah, dude. This smells like a sweeter version of that Stone beer. So yeah, there's caramel, there's breadiness, it has a malt character, but this I think has a little bit more tropical going on. Yeah, like a little bit of a pineapple, maybe a mango. But then there's orange, tangerine, grapefruit. And then resin, yeah, there's this piney, like pine sap, resinous kind of hop character. Your smell has a little bit of like an herbaceous tone to it. But this smells sweeter than I recall this beer. It is 9.1% though. Smells pretty good. When's the last time I had this? I don't check all of the beers I have into Untappd. I used to, like the first couple years on tap, and then after that I would just, if I really wanted to, I wouldn't. Some I wouldn't, which is stupid, because I should have just checked in everything, even if I didn't say anything about it, to kind of, have a good history of whatever I was drinking, so I can, in situations like this, be like, oh, last time I had Resin was 2017 or whatever. It's probably been at least 5 years since I had this beer. So it doesn't smell exactly how I remember it, but to be honest with you, it's 5 years ago. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Anyway, cheers everybody. Yeah, this is This is funny because this is very, very akin to that stone beer in terms of just like the first sip of that beer, I was like, kind of boring. You know, it's a 26th anniversary beer. Did I say 26th, 25th? 26th anniversary. Like, it's kind of boring. Then I started drinking out, it got better. First sip of this, I'm not saying it's boring, but it's like been there, done that, right? Okay, second sip is a little better. I think this one, despite being super fresh, and the reason I know it's fresh is they give, well, I figured out the Julian date. Sometimes I can't. This one I did. They give a best by of January 26th of 2023, and then they have the Julian code here, which it looks like it was brewed on the 207th day of 2022, or packaged on. And I believe that is July 26th. So that makes perfect sense. 6 months, July 26th to January 26th, 6 months. So I'm drinking this one in late August, so just under 5 weeks old, and it's probably the freshest I've had resin in a long time. Let's go one more sip, and then I'll start, you know, giving like what my true thoughts are. So I feel like I need like 3 sips now of a beer to start running my mouth about it, because I feel like the first sip is just like starting to get your palate acclimated. The second sip a little bit closer, and then the third's like, okay, because now I like this more than I had the first sip, and it is the name personified. It has this resinous, kind of piney, hop saturated finish. Exactly what you want from this beer, or what most people buying this beer want. Let's go body and mouthfeel, and then we'll start getting, let me take a couple more sips to get acclimated even more as I talk about the body and mouthfeel. Buying this beer, higher side of medium, lower side of full, more appropriate for something 9.1%. I think it's fine. It's not syrupy and thick and like gross, but it's bigger and you can tell. The mouthfeel, it's old school. It's crisp. It's spritzy on the tongue. Has a nice smoothness on the palate, but it's not soft. It's not creamy. It's not meant to be. So I think the body and mouthfeel, they did a good job. The taste, I'm all over the place, but I'm starting to enjoy this one just like that stone beer, but I still don't think it's amazing. All that sweet, malty goodness at the front. There's caramel. It's more white bread. More of like a white bread, almost a slight biscuity thing at the front. Then a little bit of that caramel. And then I'm getting juicier, like citrus fruits, like more of like an orange juice, maybe a little bit like a tangerine, great ruby red grapefruit juice. There's a touch of pineapple, touch of mango. And again, because of the malt sweetness, it's bumping that up, making it juicy, making it sweeter. About halfway through the palate, get out of the fucking way, all those fruity, juicy kind of flavors, because here comes that resin. That there's a pine sap, resinous tone to the hops. It's slightly herbaceous, a little bit of like a dank quality, but really like that pine resin is just sitting on the back of the tongue. It finishes semi-dry with a moderate to full-on dry bitterness. I think unlike that stone beer, and I'm comparing it to stone beer because the stone beer is a West Coast style triple dry hopped Imperial IPA. 9.7, 80 IBUs. This is 9.1, 103 IBUs, so not that far off. And this is 9.1, that's 9.7. And they're focused about hop-wise, very similar. Centennial for both, this one has Chinook. And I'm just comparing it because it's just fresh in my memory. And I think this is very akin to that beer. Like just in overall quality, the quality is very similar, but like the stages of how I'm reacting to this is very similar too. And I didn't expect that, but here we are. This hides the alcohol pretty well too. No astringency on the palate, warming in the chest. You can feel it's 9.1%, but it's not stepping on any of the characters' toes on the palate. Like it's not, there's no astringency, there's no big alcohol blast. So it hides it well. But this, again, the dryness is more of like, this is semi-dry with like a moderate to full-on bitterness, where that stone one was like slightly dry, but had like a full-on gripping bitterness. That was more bitter than this one. That was also a little bit fresher, 3 weeks to almost 5 weeks. I apologize for comparing them to, they're just in my mind, and I'm just like, it's hard to not do that. But this is fucking a good beer. It's a good beer, just like that stone beer, just like so many of these beers that sit on the shelves nowadays, and they're, for lack of a better term, they're shelf turds. And when I say shelf turds, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean these beers used to be highly sought after, and now they're shelfies that become shelf turds because they sit there on the shelves, and you pick them up and you're like, oh, this is fucking 6-month-old resin. That kind of sucks, right? Yeah, it does. So when you see one that's 4.5, almost 5 weeks old, like you gotta grab it because you don't know when you're gonna see it fresh again. So anyway, yeah, I think this is good. I think it's very akin to that stone beer, and I have no problems giving Resin from Sixpoint. We'll go straight 4 out of 5, just like we did. Cop out, baby. Cop out. 4 out of 5. I think that's fair. Price and availability, I actually don't know. I didn't look up the price point. I got this in a Mix 6 location at my local Wegmans grocery store. So those are $12.99 a 6-pack. So I paid just over $2 for that can. I would imagine, like, do these still come in 6-packs? If they do, you're probably talking like, 14. This is probably like 12 to 16 bucks. Probably 14 would be the average. I don't really know, but I think that sounds about right. Like probably like $14 a 6-pack in these 12-ounce energy drink cans. Availability, we get them here, but again, it's very tough to find fresh Sixpoint, I find. Let me know if in your area, if it's hard to find fresh Sixpoint, if you do get Sixpoint. They get all over the place now. So if you do get Sixpoint, can you find their stuff fresh? Does some of their newer releases show up? Like we get a Resin, Bengali, we used to be Bengali Tiger. I think I've seen Apollo, the Crisp, Puff, which is the unfiltered version of this beer. But again, very infrequently. And when I do see them, it's like if they're under 2 months old, it's like I won the lottery. If they're under 3 months old, it's like I won the lottery, honestly. So yeah, I'm really happy I was able to find this fresh and give it a review. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.